Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today I'll be reviewing Aestik, a beautifully hand-drawn action platformer Metroidvania game developed by Hooded Traveler Games and released on the 26th of August 2024 for PC, with a Nintendo Switch version expected sometime in the future. The story of Aestik transpires in the dark realm of the same name, a forgotten place tainted by a corruption that is driving its inhabitants insane. You take on the mantle of an unnamed creature that belongs to a race called Owlats, who arrives at the shores of Aestik after feeling the pull of the realm for reasons he cannot understand. With no way to move but forward, our protagonist embarks on a journey across this hostile land, in the process uncovering its odd and deep-rooted history as well as the nature of his very own existence. Aestik's narrative is very nuanced and mostly functions like a big lore puzzle, with bits and pieces of knowledge being provided via dialogue, brief cutscenes, environmental storytelling, and a few scattered journal pages of a previous explorer, all of which allow you to gradually make sense of this world's troubled past at your own pace. As someone who enjoys the show don't tell mentality when it comes to a game's story, I'll admit I immediately fell for Aestik's storytelling approach, which came off almost as a dark fairy tale, a quality I think was further enhanced by its amazing handcrafted visuals. When it comes to the realm itself, the map of Aestik is a wonderful place to explore, being home to several different biomes with distinct themes as well as diverse flora and fauna and even platforming and navigation mechanics unique to each place, keeping traversal across them fresh and interesting. I especially loved how every single one of these areas was carefully weaved into the game's lore, effectively making the whole map a narrative tapestry that essentially functions as a character by itself. One standout feature that Aestik brings into the table when it comes to its world and story is the presence of moral choices that can alter the course of the story as well as the enemies you get to face. Throughout your journey, you will come across certain situations where you'll have to make a tough choice, which is often related to you deciding someone's fate, a decision which causes a ripple effect by making certain characters trust you and others want you dead, leading to different story threads and boss fights, a quality that adds an interesting element of replayability to the game. Exploration-wise, I'm glad to say that Aestik features a variety of different secrets to uncover, which are mainly divided into journal pages, challenge portals, companions, runes, and upgrade elixirs, all of which are incredibly helpful and well worth venturing off the beaten path to find. Journal pages provide snippets of insight into the land of Aestik, allowing you to make more sense of this place. Challenge portals, which I really enjoyed, take you to unique arenas where you have to defeat a few waves of enemies in order to obtain certain memory fragments with which you are able to gain access to companions. Companions are little spirits, some of which you unlock by obtaining the aforementioned fragments, while others you find across the map, with each one providing a certain benefit that will help you on your travels and between which you can switch via an altar in the game's main hub area, of which I will speak more about a little later. Runes are magical stones that offer active benefits in the form of platforming and offensive abilities, such as double jumping and shooting beams of energy at your enemies, all of which you can equip from the rune menu. Finally, upgrade elixirs offer the possibility to upgrade one of 3 different elements related to your healing potions and rune effectiveness, and can literally make the difference between life and death, so it is highly recommended to seek them out. Now, as much as I enjoyed the game's exploration, there are a few things to mention here that left a sour taste in my mouth. First, I couldn't find any way to reveal collectibles on the map, which can lead to frustrating situations if you're only missing 1 or 2 items and have no idea where to go to seek them out. Second, you can't place manual markers on the map. There are certain NPCs that you find who will then reveal save points and some very specific and useful points of interest, but it would have been great to be able to mark my own places of interest as well. Third, I would have liked to be able to see my exact position on the map. While the game does highlight the map segment you are in at any given moment, I'd have preferred an exact location of my character, since some of the larger areas of the world may lead to a small degree of disorientation. Finally, I'll admit that I found the fast travel system to be somewhat counterintuitive. Essentially, you are able to visit a certain hub area by striking at save points, and through said hub area you are able to then travel to 3 different unique save points you unlock in certain areas across the map. While the hub area itself is extremely useful, featuring a bestiary, a couple of incredibly helpful purchasable items, and your companion selection altar among others, I would have preferred a more immediate way of fast traveling instead of stopping there first, which feels like it slows down my momentum. As for combat, Aestik is fairly straightforward in that regard, which is by no means a bad thing. On a basic level, you are able to strike at your enemies with a flurry of hits by your cane, which can also be used to pogo off of them, as well as environmental hazards, something we'll discuss later on. Each enemy hit also bears weight, meaning that you are pushed a bit backwards every time you strike, adding an element of strategy when clashing against your foes near treacherous terrain. Runes also add some special attacks to your repertoire, such as an energy beam you can shoot at your enemies and a whip attack that lets you draw essence from them. Said essence is necessary in order for you to be able to heal yourself, which happens via the use of a potion which you can upgrade throughout the game to the point where it becomes extremely effective and, in many situations, a lifesaver. Save points also heal you and replenish your essence, which is a welcome effect. Now, while combat may be basic, I can by no means say the same about Aestik's platforming, which is, by all accounts, the main feature of the game. Speaking about platforming, I cannot overstate how challenging, brutal, and fun the game's acrobatic segments are. There's a huge variety of different platforming gauntlets that you will need to overcome before the story's end, most of which will require your undivided attention and snappy reflexes in order to complete, with a few of them reaching insane levels of creativity, complexity, and need for precision to the point where you'll feel like a master acrobat once you've beaten them. What makes these ordeals truly stand out are the awesome abilities you get to acquire along the way, with special mention being given to the teleportation and wing double flap skills that, in combination with the aforementioned pogo ability, can lead to perfectly fluid platforming runs that delight and terrify in equal measure. If you're a fan of challenging platforming segments, then Aestik is definitely going to quell your hunger in that regard, with some of the latter gauntlets truly giving me a run for my money. Boss-wise, I'm delighted to report that Aestik's big bads were incredibly fun to go up against, each one completely unique in terms of design and attack pattern, and all of them perfectly capable of taking you down quickly if you are not careful. What's interesting about these villains is that the ones you go up against will depend on the moral choices you make along the way, meaning that you will need to do at least 2 playthroughs of the game if you wish to see all of the bosses Aestik has to offer. The one thing I will mention here is the following. To my understanding, Aestik doesn't seem to have any invincibility frames, or if it does, their window is so brief that it's imperceptible, which can lead to some desperate boss situations where you spam your healing potion just to stay afloat and not die after an onslaught of attacks, something that can be a double-edged sword in itself since using the potion leaves you open to said attacks. In terms of default difficulty, Aestik's challenging platforming segments situate it neatly to the hard side of things, though here I do need to mention that the developers were thoughtful enough to include certain accessibility options such as infinite health, infinite essence, and a damage slider, meaning that you can tailor the experience to your own preferences and enjoy yourselves. Main story aside, I also want to point out that Aestik offers a series of separate combat and platforming challenges accessible via the game's main menu for those wishing to try out their skills, which adds a good chunk of additional content if you're a completionist. As for length, it took me 5.5 hours to finish my first playthrough with nearly 100% completion rate, and I will be diving in for a second one in order to make different choices and see the rest of the bosses, which I estimate will add another 3 to 4 hours to my game time depending on how well my memory will serve me. Taking into account the aforementioned replayability, the added value the challenges provide, as well as the fact that your game time might end up being longer if difficult platforming is not your strong suit, I consider Aestik to be a worthwhile purchase for its asking price of about $18. In conclusion, I had a blast with Aestik. I was completely immersed in its nuanced world and lore, I loved the difficulty of the platforming segments, I had a lot of fun with the bosses and did enjoy its exploratory aspect. The fast travel system could have been more efficient, the map could have provided some additional options to make collectible discovery a bit easier and your location on it more specific, and I feel like the overall experience could have benefited from the inclusion of a few seconds of invincibility frames, but none of the above was able to mar an incredibly fun Metroidvania experience. My final verdict on Aestik is 8.5 out of 10. What did you think about Aestik? Have you played it yet? Do you agree with the points I mentioned, or do you see things differently? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out!